Hi, this is Vanessa Frank with One Sotheby's International Realty, and welcome to my podcast. This is a series of interviews I was inspired to do with incredible people I met along the way of my career. So, welcome to be my guest. Today, I have the honor to have Mayi De la Vega. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. You
Very nice.
radiate positive energy, and that inspires me a lot. So I'm
Well,
happy to be here.
likewise, I feel the same way, and I felt it since the first time we met, so it's a good match.
That is a good match. Good.
Well, Maggie, you inspire me in a big way, and I wanted to share your story. You know, how does it start? Where do we start? Like your parents, the journey of your parents coming from their hometown in Cuba, and how did that happen? How did you come here?
So my parents were considered Cuban exiles and arrived in the United States early on, I think early 60s, like in 61 or 62. I don't recall exactly the exact date. And it's kind of a story of like from rags to riches. And it basically, they started from the ground up, ground zero, like just basically building again their lives in a new country that offered incredible opportunities and welcomed them. So incredibly always thankful to the United States for receiving them, welcoming them, giving them the opportunity to build a new life for themselves, you know? So it was really, it was great. It was a lot of hardship along the way. I think being part of that hardship and watching them, watching their struggles and watching what they had to do to rebuild were lessons that were so invaluable to me. To
Absolutely.
this day, I saw their work ethic. I saw their resilience. I saw how they never gave up. I saw my father drive a car that had no window, and the rain would come in, and he'd put a cardboard along the window so the water wouldn't come in.
How old were you?
I was very young when I got here. I was, I don't know, 3 years old, 4 years old.
Wow.
So I was really young.
Yeah,
So I really feel like a true
for
American. Like,
sure.
you know, English is my native language. For me, it's just super. I think in English, I write better in English. Thank God for, ChatGPT and and all the translations that I can do if I have to write something in Spanish.
Right. And you have siblings?
I do. I have siblings. I have two. My mother and father were divorced when I was 6 years old, and my mother remarried, had two daughters. My dad remarried and had a son, and I have an incredibly close relationship with them.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the journey of your father when he came to the US. I know that, it was very hard for him at the beginning, but then it ended up also with a happy ending.
It was a very happy ending. It was the American dream come true because he started when he arrived from Cuba, he went to work in a factory, and then he did attend an American school in Cuba. So he was able to very quickly he knew the language or
Thank
had
God.
an idea. So he had a slight advantage over others that came without speaking English. So that was great. And so I think his desire for us, I think, to succeed and to explore new opportunities. So he very quickly transitioned from being a factory worker to, I think it was selling vacuum cleaners at the time, and then becoming the export manager for an American company that was out of New York. They wanted someone that spoke Spanish to travel throughout Latin America and also through Europe. And that's how he started his career. And he worked like that. And one day I sat with him. I think I've always had this entrepreneurial, you know, in
Drive.
me, this like spark or this thing that just was motivating me to say to him, listen, Dad, if you stay here, you don't control your destiny. You're always going to work for somebody. This is many years after he was already in the aerospace industry. And he basically listened. And, I look back now and it was a huge challenge for him because he basically left a job that was paying him a salary to venture on his own. And he said, how are we going to do this? Like, where am I going to get the money? He still was, building his life. a new life in a new country. And I said, you can do this. You can do this because you've met so many great people along the way. And, everything in life and our industry, and it's all about relationships. It's about building relationships. It's about observing and making great relationships along the way. And he did that. And he had a very good friend in Italy that I said, you need to ask him to loan you some money. At the time, it was $50,000, which was like a lot of money then. It's nothing now, but still a lot of money for a lot of people. But he didn't have the money to do it, and I encouraged him to borrow this money to start. And then I had a banker that was a friend, and I said, we're going to go, and with those 50,000, we're going to ask for a line of credit of 50,000 or 100,000, and that we have a guarantee, and they're going to give it to you. And so,
How old were you when you were giving all of these advices?
I was always like ahead of my time. Listen, when I was a little girl, all little girls were playing with dolls and just being very like, playing house and playing. I did that too, but I right away wanted to create a lemonade stand. When I played house, I would pretend to sell cafecito, like little Cuban espressos, like they sell at Versailles, but I would charge my dad or, my stepmom or my mom or whoever it was. I would say, oh, you have to pay for this coffee. It doesn't just, it's not free. So I think that all of those were very formative years for me. And I'm so grateful because I saw him start with nothing. I saw him rebuild his life here, which is really incredible. And so many lessons along the way. He was my greatest teacher.
And what about your mother?
My mother came later on. I came with my father and my stepmother, and my mother was not allowed to leave when we left because her father was a professor at the university, and they had confiscated, something at the university. I don't really remember the entire story, but basically she came later on. So I lived with them for about a year until my mother was able to get here. And then I went with her. And my mother's story is a little different. I think that, she always just was like, she just worked really hard. And, she built a new life for herself, but she never had the success that my dad had.
Okay, I see. Well, she was the mom.
She raised, 3 great girls. She basically, worked really hard, she taught me a lot. On Saturday mornings, she would wake up and she would open my door. She's like OCD with organization. Yeah. And she would say, you need to fold this way. So, and then I couldn't go out until I had folded everything perfectly. I still remember that to this day. I still have that OCD in my house.
Wow. Well, that's a good idea for me to implement with my daughter. But Mayi, I love how you had that spark of the entrepreneur on you since you were, on your early ages. And so after you went to college here.
I went to the FIU.
What did you study?
I studied business administration.
Okay,
yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then how you enter the real estate world?
So when my father had the good fortune to be able to sell his company, and because I was the only one working alongside him, I benefited from that sale financially. And so my dad was an extremely responsible person.
How old were you at that time? I like to see.
I think I was like 25 then, okay. Give or take, 24, 25. I was young. And I was the only one that benefited financially from the sale of the company because I was the one that worked alongside him. My brother went to Harvard Law School. He was able, me on the other hand, I was working with my dad and I went to FIU at night. And then finally, my last couple of semesters, I was able to attend during the day and graduate. So the circumstances were different, because as the years went on, my dad was doing better financially and was able to provide, a better life for us overall. And so, but that took some time. That didn't happen overnight.
Wow, that father of yours really did the American dream.
He did.
But this is a country where we can do that.
This is
Thank
the
God.
Only country in the world where that we can do that.
We see so many stories. In fact, Carlos Otto from
Yes.
Sotheby's. We interviewed the other day, and he has a beautiful story, and he's so successful. I'm so happy. Such a beautiful story.
Yeah.
So then, how you entered before Sotheby's?
Oh, you were asking me, how did I
Yeah.
enter the real estate world?
Yes.
By coincidence.
By coincidence, this is exactly how it is. Actually, me too.
I just basically, I have a love of people. I love people. I love relationships. I love building relationships. I love making new friends. I love architecture, interior design. You know, I love flowers. I love everything in life that basically is somewhat related to real estate. And I asked
Home,
myself, home.
like
I
that brings
love
you
home.
home.
I'm a super homey person. I
Yes.
love home. I love buying furniture and plates and silverware more than I like buying clothes. I just, that's really for me like super important. And I just thought, what can I do that really involves people, utilizing some of the relationships that I had built along the way, sort of like what you're doing. Here we are, and you're interviewing people that you meet along the way that inspire you. Same thing for me. It was who inspires me, and those people that were the ones that gave me the opportunity when I started to represent them, whether they were listing a house or selling a house. So for me, it was just picking a new career that I could first have flexibility because my kids were small, and I thought, oh, this is a great job. I don't have to do this all the time. I can sort of like pick up the kids at school, and then I can go to their baseball games, and I can be a mom, but at the same time I can make some money, and I can meet exciting people, and everything that goes along with that. And then as it turns out, I have a type A personality, means that I'm always, I want more all the time. It's never enough. It's
Perfection.
perfection. Like I want it. And then I didn't want to just be a realtor. I wanted to be the best realtor. So when nobody wanted to do open houses on weekends, there was my, volunteering to sit at an open house for 5 hours just to meet people and to build your, that's actually how I built my business. I lived in Cocoa Plum, and first, I lived in Stamper Creek Lakes, which is a beautiful community with large lots, and it was an older home that we remodeled. And from there, they didn't have security at the time, so there was a break-in, and I got terrified. Since then, they have security. It's a super safe neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It's one of the most beautiful neighborhoods in Miami because it just has the trees and the age of the trees, and the lots all sit on, really big. The houses sit on really big lots. So from there, I moved to Cocoa Plum, and I lived in Cocoa Plum for many, many years on the water, out of the water. And I thought, this is a great place to build a career and to start building my career. And that's where I started, really.
And so you were how many years, like as a, let's say, realtor before you
Ooh,
went
let's
to,
see.
and that's my next, which will take me to the next question.
I think this was like maybe like 1998 or something, give or take, that I moved into actually moved into Cocoa Plum. And that's when I started doing open houses in the neighborhood, and I started meeting the neighbors, and I had a lot of friends that lived there. These are people that I had met through the school, people that I had met through charities, things that I was involved in. So it helped me that my network was where I lived. It helped me a lot. And then I put in the time. I put in the hard work.
And you also went through, of course, a divorce,
I did.
and you have two beautiful, incredible
I do.
kids.
Young adults. Let's just say young adults.
You were a single mom with two kids, and then you're like, I'm gonna open one Sotheby's. How? I mean,
Everybody
that's,
thought I was crazy when I did that, by the way.
yeah, but
Let's backtrack. They were like, "You're doing what?" It was 2008, 2009
2008, right at the crash.
at the crash. And I just saw it as a huge opportunity. First of all, I have to say, I wanted the brand more than anything in the entire world. I've always loved the brand.
It's a great brand.
It's a brand that resonates.
the brand.
It's the brand. It resonates with luxury. It resonates with heritage. It resonates with art that I love. So all the things that were part of the brand are things that I really enjoy being around. Or remember the first time I ever went to the auction house, I thought, oh my goodness gracious, like this is amazing. So I saw it as an opportunity. And I think when opportunity knocks, you just have to say, I'm in. I'm going to do this. I'm going to outwork
You need to
everybody.
jump on it like completely because it will pass.
I didn't even have time to think about it. It all happened so fast.
Tell us about it a
And the
little bit.
negotiations with them were extremely intense. I mean, the document I had to sign, I signed my life away. At the time, I thought, okay, if I lose this, I lose everything.
Do you remember how old were you at the time?
My 50s.
Okay. So Danielle was how old already then?
Daniel was just starting college,
Okay.
and Alina was finishing high school.
So you started this with Daniel, or you started first and then and Daniel joined later?
I got the franchise because I had a very successful career, and I was part of a team that was called the Cocoa Plum team, whose founder recently passed, who was really a pretty extraordinary woman in terms of, she was also a fighter. She had a lot of resilience. She was like, I remember her asking me, well, how much did you sell last year? And I said, I don't know, like $1 million. And she looked at me and she's like, $1 million? Like, that's nothing. So the fact that she took me on and gave me an opportunity, and from that, we called it the Cocoa Plum team, and it was extremely successful. And that's how it was a chance. She gave me an opportunity to do this, and I'll always be grateful. She passed not too long ago, and her daughter is still running the company, which I respect and admire a lot. And just today I wrote her because I sent her mom passed, and I sent her an orchid. And I said, she was in Spanish we say a luchadora for her family. She was a fighter for her family, and always trying to do make sure her kids were okay. And so I learned a lot from her along the way. She was a tough woman,
Yeah. Well, I think you have to have a little bit tough or have a little alpha personality in this business,
Yeah.
because but also I feel like we all have to start somewhere.
We have
We're
to
not
start
going to
somewhere.
start selling like 50 million, 100 million, 200 million a year. I mean, this is like we all have to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
And just go all in and
Absolutely.
believe that you can do it and want to do
And
it
want to
and
do
do the job.
Well, and also, it's like I was saying at the beginning when I started real estate, I thought, oh, I can do this like at my leisure. I could do it whenever I want, and I can, but it doesn't really work that
No,
way.
it doesn't.
You're really at your client's mercy. Like, you're doing what they want when they want. The showings happen when other agents want you to show, and
Exactly.
so it doesn't. So you've got to be flexible, and you've got to be committed, and you've got to be willing to. Anything you do in life, you have to become the utmost professional. If you're selling real estate, try to get as much education, try to listen to as many podcasts, try to learn, try to listen to people that have succeeded and what they've done to succeed. Share best practices, listen to best practices from other people so you can also learn, because it's about listening, it's about learning. It's also about knowing that you never have all the answers. There's always when we host at One Sotheby's, some of the we have coaches that come in to motivate, to talk to us. I don't love all of them. I like some of them. I don't like others. But from all of them, I always pick up something
For sure.
all the time.
A
They
hundred
may not
percent.
be my style. We just brought one in not too long ago that was a little rough at the edges, and a lot of people loved him. And I brought him in. And the first time I met him, I said, oh my God, this guy's so abrasive and he's like tough. And, he wrote this book. It's called The Full Fee Agent. And you fight for a full fee and da 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 da. And I'm like, oh, he's a little tough for me as I have a softer style. But you know what? I learned so much from him. And I think other agents in the company did also. So I think that it was important to it's important to be able to open up, to open your heart, to open your mind, to know that you don't have all the answers, and never get too big for your bridges.
Absolutely. I
Always
agree
know
with you.
that there is a path forward that takes it. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village to become a true professional.
Absolutely.
Everybody, whether it's the person that's doing your photos, or it's the person that's entering your listing or doing your transactions, or the person you met doing an open house, it's everybody just contributes a little bit to that success that you're going to
Absolutely.
experience.
I mean, and of course, like you said, you had opportunities came and you just knew how to
grabbed
take them. You just like went for it. But, and this is my next subject, is like also what you do with your success, what give you more success, in my opinion. So I know you're big on giving back and giving back to your community, and I think that was shaped maybe by the values that your family gave you growing up, and with the story, which is such a wonderful story, migrating from Cuba, and you having to see all different realities and having to work hard, really hard, to get to where you are. So tell us about the organizations you like to support, and how important it is to you, because I know that it's also, a big part in your life.
It is a big part of my life, and I love to support. I love United Way. I love their new CEO. She's absolutely fantastic, and they do a lot for our community, because I didn't even know that over 40% of Miami community it lives in poverty. I had no idea. And when they told me that, I thought, how could some have so many and some have so little?
Right.
So how do you bridge that? How can you help? What can you do?
Yeah.
How can you be a part of that to help them continue to grow and provide resources for women? I've recently gotten involved with Women of Tomorrow, which is I went and chatted with these girls at this high school that being able to be a mentor, being able to see an example of someone that was in their
Absolutely.
place, that had nothing, that, had big dreams, was able to execute on these big dreams with hard work, with dedication, with consistency, with, all the things that we know it takes to get to where you want to go. So I love doing that. But what I love the most is really truly helping all the agents at One Sotheby's succeed. It makes me so happy to, when they call me or they say, what should I do, or how should I handle this difficult situation that I have, or please go with me on a listing presentation, or
I'm one of them.
but I helped you.
You did.
I helped you
Yes.
through it, and
Yes.
it
Thank you
was a
so
difficult
much.
moment, and it was,
Yeah.
we were able to
And we
navigate.
fixed it.
We fixed it. Nobody got upset, and we moved
Exactly.
on, and
It's best to ask
it's best
for
to
help when
ask
you
for
need
help
it.
when you need it. And I
Please.
love to give that help. I
Yes.
love to be available.
You're a giver.
I am a giver.
You are a giver,
I
and that's
love to.
why you have been blessed. And I am blessed to know you. And thank you so much for taking the time to having this short interview. And I want to tell you that I'm very proud to be part of the One Sotheby's family. I truly believe it's a wonderful brand, and it's so inspiring to see the quality of people that you have in your team everywhere.
Thank you.
In One
Thank you.
Sotheby's.
That
I'm
makes
very,
me
very
so
happy.
happy.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
very,
you.
very happy. And for more deals together.
That's the goal. The goal is to surround yourself, to build a culture, and to have everyone in the organization buy into that culture, believe in it, live it, breathe it, and be a part of it, and be able to emanate that to all those around them. And we've had people that haven't fit the culture, and they're
Right.
no longer with us. So
Right.
it's really important to find the right people, to find people. Sometimes I always love to find people that know more than I do, that I can learn from, so that I can grow and bring different minds and different ideas. But building that culture is very, very special. So thank
Well,
you
you
for
guys are
those
doing
great
an
words.
incredible job.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much,
Thank you
Mayi.
so much.